Invincible show animator just had a mental breakdown by Hirohei. Yeah, we're gonna watch. I'm assuming right away this is a lady who has a mental breakdown. But yeah, also please consider like subscribing. I appreciate it. We'll go in. I just recently started watching Invincible. Actually, I like it. I like it. I like it. I think it's one of the few Western shows I like. So there is that. But we're gonna look at this. We're gonna look at this. I'm curious where this is going. Is this about the gender swap regarding Tech Jacket, right? From Zack to Zoe.
There has been lots of discussions about Tech Jacket being swapped from a male character in the comics to a female character in the animated series of Invincible. But for some people, the discourse is a little bit different, as we have this tweet with 14,000 likes that ultimately got locked by the OP. You can see a response.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised. Stop with the "Are you sure?" Yeah, I'm not surprised that. See, I don't know why you would gender swap a character. I see like two sides now. Right now, people that kind of are like indifferent, people that don't like it, and people who like the idea initially and now don't like it. From what I can tell, they probably made her a love interest for Oliver, is what I'm assuming. Because they aged Tech Jacket down in this regard, right? So I'm assuming they are trying to turn into a love interest for Oliver. That is what I'm saying. But yeah, if you watch the spoiler, spoiler. If you watch, if you have read the comic, then you know that Oliver actually likes. How do I put it? He likes women from the of the roach like type. Yeah, he's a buck fucker. Moving on.
Even saying didn't want to believe it, but yeah. What are they talking about? Well, let's take a look at the OP. Says, that's not my Tech Jacket. I don't care if Tech Jacket is a woman. I care that the VA is a Zionist. This user says, dang it. And another says, why? Frickin' why? Reacting in anger and saying how it felt defending Tech Jacket from toxic Invincible fans, only to find out the VA loves Israel. But others saying, who cares? Just watch the show. You gotta see this one. Storyboard revisionist for Invincible.
Am I the only one who cringes when they hear that somebody is quote unquote a Zionist? It's like always like Le Jew's bad. Like it's so boring. You got to get more creative at this point. Bro, I don't care. As long as you're not a hypocrite, right? Like the queers for Palestine, I don't really give a shit who you support. I'll be real. At least be consistent.
Katrin Snodgrass gives her thoughts on the Invincible fandom for the current talk about Tech Jacket being a woman. Yes, Katrin Snodgrass is offended at people.
Why would you call yourself Snotgrass, by the way? I have questions, but yeah, it's a liberal white woman. I'm not surprised. Also, in gender swaps, most of the times probably shouldn't be done. Sometimes it works, maybe. I don't know. To be honest. Apparently they did gender swap a character in Invincible for the show, but it actually like improved the character for once. I don't know if that can be done with Zoe here. I don't know if it can be done. We'll have it. She's still a new edition, fairly new, so we'll have to see if that actually like works. Like, right? We have to see. It's like certain characters also shouldn't be race swapped. I'll be real, because right. We'll look at my boy Snape. We'll look at my boy Snape for the Harry Potter show, who was described as a milky white character. I don't know if that was such a good idea either.
Criticizing that choice. And do you know who this person is, by the way? This is
because you can't sit around and say faithful adaptation and right, you couldn't call it a faithful adaptation and then not be faithful. Get what I'm saying? It's like also I don't throw words around like that because they lose meaning, because real Zionists are bad, but people just getting called that cringe. This also implies to other those other negative words. The buzzwords, you mean? Yep, the buzzwords. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like Nazi, transphobic, homophobic, all those things. Yeah, the things where I'm like, oh, you're a Nazi. Oh no. Anyways, you get the idea.
Someone who worked on notorious show. I can't even say the name. Oh gosh, High Guardian Spice. This is a high.
What do you mean? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That is horrible. Who let this woman? Who let this woman on Invincible? What are you doing? No, she was a storyboard artist for High Guardian Spice. Yeah, this is this is no. This is essentially if you want to, this is basically, you could have taken her from like the Velma show and you had the exact same result. That diabolical, bro. That's fucking diabolical.
Guardian Spice ex-employee. Like, bro, imagine saying you worked on High Guardian Spice. That's like as bad as working on Concord if you were like in the gaming industry. I worked on High Guardian Spice. Oh my gosh, that's a name I never thought we'd hear again, but here we are.
The Invincible fandom is like wildly sexist. I knew, I knew that there was going to be a reaction to Zoe.
Oh no. The mostly male fandom wants Zach tech jacket and not Zoe tech jacket. What? I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed. I'm shocked. I am shocked, truly. I am flabbergasted. What the fuck did you, the he who shall not be named thing? Pretty much. I am what did you expect? What did you expect was going to happen? What is High Guardian Spies? A absolutely abhorrent and horrible show. It is probably contender for one of the wokest shows ever made. It was a catastrophe. They literally had to quit because like nobody was watching this shit. It was just ass, exactly. It was horrible. It tried to be anime, but it failed really hard at that as well. Diabolical. Bro, what did you expect was going to happen? That they would just like, it would be like they want a tech jacket. And the Invincible show already has a lot of issues for like the animation, what it is, right? So like, yeah, I'm sexist for wanting like Zach instead of Zoe, right? Like what, they use PNGs too. Yeah, there's some issues with like PNGs, and like how how it looks, right? There's also some voice actor drama going on with Thrag's voice actor. His voice being too soft, which I don't think is necessarily the issue. Because he voiced the guy in the main villain in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and that one had a very deep masculine voice. I think the problem is just that like the voice direction is horrible, probably in that regard for this character.
I knew it was going to happen.
Why is she acting like that's an impressive prediction at all? Like, they literally swapped this character from male to female, and Tech Jacket has a bit of like a fan favorite following, and Kirkman even issued a whole official statement about this, and she's like, oh, I knew people were going to talk about this. Yeah, shocker.
But I think the thing that's annoying me is seeing so many comments that are like, oh, I'm fine with it because she's obviously there to be a love interest for Oliver, or she's obviously there to serve the interest of other male characters in the show. Women.
Yeah, it's a weird coincidence that you gender swap this character and age her down to around the same age as Oliver. Yes, shocking, I know, but it appears that they're gonna drop the bug love. Stand ready for my arrival, worm. I love Conquest. I like him. He has so much aura. It's crazy. Like the where he makes the heart and just like Did you guys underpaid workers and only 100 per episode? And Invincible has 1 million per episode and still worse. Even like smaller, much smaller budget can still produce better animation. Anybody remember Ben 10? Yeah, Ben 10 has better animation to oftentimes.
Women are autonomous beings that can do things for their own reasons that don't actually have to involve men. And when you are writing a story, your characters, regardless of gender, should be there to service the plot as a whole, right? Um, so her being there doesn't mean that she is going to be a romantic interest or a sister or a mother. There are other things that women can be, because I know this is going to be shocking for you Invincible fans, because this is like a really big exclusive headline, but women are people. Women are people, and don't just exist for men.
To be human, one must act as such. To be people, must act as such. Not that women aren't people, but like to be a person, you must also act like a person. Some people forget this. She said she is Death Fodder. Here's the thing, though. She might be Death Fodder otherwise if she's not gonna become the love interest for Oliver. But then again, if you know what happens to Oliver in the comics. So is that even relevant? But wow, really never thought about that before. Yeah, she's like, oh, women are people. What? Next, you're gonna tell me cats are animals, and beetles are bugs, and chicken are birds. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, wow.
And that's something I think you guys need to learn, because holy shit, these comments ain't it, bro.
Because they want Zach. They want male tech jacket, not female tech jacket. They were excited for the tech jacket that they know. What? No way. No shit, Sherlock. I wonder if this lady would have the same reaction if one of her favorite female characters, or one of the female characters she likes, gets gender swapped into a male. Because that's also something I've noticed. It's always just male characters getting gender swapped into female, but never female characters being gender swapped into male. But that's just me.
This take is actually so horrible. Her points are so bad that I gotta unpack this in multiple steps here. All right, so first of all, let's start at the very beginning. She says that the Invincible fandom is wildly sexist. And her proof of this is a few comments that she cherry picked where people are like, I wonder if she's gonna date Oliver. Now, you can argue that's a silly question, but it's certainly not sexist, and it's absolutely not wildly sexist. Snodgrass over here calling those questions wildly sexist is actually a massive self-report to her own privilege. Because you know what's actually wildly sexist stuff? A number of Middle Eastern countries that have administrative laws that actively oppress women. That's wildly sexist. Not, I wonder if Tech Jacket's gonna date all.
Yeah, but you can't call those out because you can't farm it for sympathy. If you were to call out Middle Eastern countries on their abuse and oppression of women, then you get slammed as an Islamophobe and like you're yeah, right, you're evil, you're racist because you do that. So that's why she can't farm it. It's that simple. It's that simple. That's why nobody does it. That's why nobody's sitting here like and is like, women are being oppressed in Saudi Arabia. Nobody's doing that. Have you seen the tweet recently that went viral that does this? None. 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 It's always fictional, right? It's not even real women that they're trying to like protect. It's always fictional women. We have two group violations in Germany per week on women. You see no posts about this. You see nobody saying like this is horrible, this is terrible. Because if you look who does it, then suddenly everyone is silent. But like I'm gonna tell the truth straight up. You don't care about real women. That's all there is to it. You don't care about real victims. You only care because it's currently the big thing, and you can farm it for attention, virtue signaling, as we call it. But you don't care about real women. You don't care about little girls being forced into like this clothing style, and them also having something in their mouth because apparently they're considered sexual at such a young age. You're not doing that. You're not criticizing that all of a sudden. But when dudes want their dude to stay a dude, then all of a sudden that's sexist. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you so much. Yes, sometimes the world seems so bad, hard to be positive, at least for me. Well, the world was never in like a peaceful state, right? You go into the 1600s, nothing chill. That's why I'm saying, like, when people say like they don't want to have children because the world is so bad, bait. Absolute bait. Because like it's always been bad. There's no good time to do anything. There's no good time. That's why you gotta mostly focus on yourself and the people around yourself, because like you can't just focus on all the evil in the world that makes you miserable.
Oliver. But she's going to call that wildly sexist, get all offended at it, and throw the buzzwords at people over that. And as usual, modern audience types like Snodgrass never want to talk about that stuff. You know, never ask them their opinion on Sharia law. They'll dodge that question as much as they can. And then there's the other part of her argument where she essentially says, quote, women have autonomous roles and female tech jacket isn't there just to service men, unquote. Which is hilarious, considering that Kirkman's own statement said that Tech Jacket got swapped specifically because he would have been too similar to Mark, and that female Tech Jacket brings more affecting energy, which all of this implies was done to the benefit of male characters. Now, you don't need to agree with Kirkman on this premise, but it goes to show how out of touch and ignorant Snodgrass's argument is both in real life and in...
Again, the gender swap might not be bad. It helped another character that got a lot better with the gender swap, right? It doesn't mean the gender swap is necessarily bad. Time will tell, right? She could be a love interest for Oliver and still be a good character. We'll have to see that, right? From what I see, people mostly like her. They still don't like the gender swap, but like I think people don't really hate it. But we'll have to see. I'm aware, but you get my point, right? Especially right now, the people in my government are horrible, yet nothing gets done. Makes me uncomfortable and less positive, yet I have to keep going. Obviously. Well, mine aren't that much better either. Heh.
The Invincible verse. And one more thing too, actually. Take note of how Snodgrass seems to think it's mutually exclusive for female characters to have their own agency, but to also be things like a love interest or a sister, etc., etc. This is such an insane take because there's an almost endless amount of female characters in fiction who are these things, but still very cool on their own, and yes, with their own agency. The fact is, obviously, a female character can be a wife or a sister, again, etc., etc., and also have their own agency and do cool things on their own. She's the one who, like I said a second ago, is the one acting like that stuff is mutually exclusive, which one could argue is actually her making a sexist take. Interestingly enough, this whole tech jacket swap discourse is occurring as a clip is currently going viral of Jennifer Newsom, the wife of Gavin Newsom, who is the governor of California, where she talks about how she will change protagonists from male to female in books that she reads to her kids. According to her own standards, by the way, this would be misgendering, but you know, it's fine when they do it. It's different when they do it.
I've given our boys dolls, even if they tear the head off. I've given them dolls.
Based boys. I've done that as well. Based boys. Yeah, that is very interesting. Odd. I guess, again, you can do it to male characters, but female characters, that is a taboo. Don't do that.
To learn that care and caregiving is not just an activity that's reserved for women, but that it's also an activity that is a responsibility of men. What I've done with both my daughters and my sons is if I'm reading a book and the protagonist is a male, I just change the he to a she. And it just normalizes for my sons in particular. I don't even just do it for my girls. I do it for my sons because I want them to see that women can be the center of a story, that women matter, that women are...
The problem is that when you make stories for women, you essentially just take the male archetype and slap woman over it. And that's why a lot of people don't like these characters, because they're not their own character. They're just the dude who suddenly became a woman, who is a woman, but it's still a dude to its core. There's nothing womanly about these characters. That's the problem. That's why a lot of these characters don't work. That's why a lot of these characters don't feel organic. That's why a lot of these characters, not to mention that a lot of these characters already don't go through the hero's journey, right? Which, if you want to create a hero, that is something you kind of have to do. Otherwise, you just get a Mary Sue, or a dude who is like just broken. Power fantasy. Now, some people like power fantasies, but like I think like most people don't.
Interesting. At the end of the day, we're all kind of like in this place in history maybe where we're recognizing what it is to ultimately deconstruct all these gender roles and ultimately be human, and that's exciting to me. So
The gender roles argument is made up. Under natural circumstances, we'd all fall into biological given gender roles. In the bush, no houses, no shelter, no nothing. You're gonna have men take on the protection and women being the caretakers. How do we know? The olden times, when we were at this point. Oh, this whole like these gender roles of like women taking care, doing care work, and men like providing are just so bad. They've been there the reason why they exist in the first place is because of our biology. That's why I don't like the argument, oh yeah, it's all made up, it's all societal made up. No. The reason why they exist because is biology at its core, and then everything surrounds this biological part. Right? Because if you take away all the technology, if you take away all the stuff, you're still gonna end up in gender roles. Surprise. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. But yeah. That's why I'm saying that the argument of like gender and sex is different. No, they're not. Because gender is immediately tied into your biology. It is the reason why you act the way you do. That is all there is to it. Good written characters, good. Bad written characters, bad, regardless of whoever. So maybe just write good characters. A lot of millennial writers fail at that. It's like weird when we all talk about like good written characters. What are we talking about? Characters that exist like since decades. Characters exist for so long, right? And they simply cannot replicate the success that these characters have right now. Like these characters had. They cannot replicate that right now. Sex is the learned. I don't care. It's a reality. Of course, it doesn't apply to everyone. There's outliers. There can be more masculine women. There can be more feminine men. Of course, they're outliers, but they're not. They're not the majority. They're an exception. And usually, those more masculine women are obviously also, based on their biology, more masculine because they have more testosterone. And more feminine men usually have less testosterone. It's still biology. At the end of the day, it's still biology. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. At the end of the day, it's all biology. It doesn't mean one is inferior to the other or one is better than the other. We're just good and great at different things. Feminine man reminds me of someone orange.
I'll just continue to kind of do my work and try and deconstruct all of these like limiting narratives about ultimately what it means to be human.
She says she does this to prove that women can be the center of a story, that women matter and women are interesting. She's going about this in an extremely dishonest, manipulative way, though. This is a horrible approach at trying to make those points to her kids. This is actually insane. Hey, to prove that women matter, we're going to lie to your face and manipulate you? Like, is she out of her mind? Why would she do something like that? Why would she say this? It's actually crazy. And the fact that she doesn't have the self-awareness to see that is also crazy. There's plenty of examples that she could actually use of awesome women throughout history or amazing women in fiction, but instead of doing that, she takes this extremely dishonest, deceitful approach, and again, has no...
I can name you multiple great female anime characters that you could just like name as like great female anime characters that are not absolute, like, that are just as good as many male characters. Of course, and characters in fiction in general, but of course she cannot do that. Some women are definitely more masculine than me. Not that I have a problem with that, but the majority possibly are not, right? Even more masculine women still like when a man takes care of them. Most women still like when a man takes care of them. It's just innate, right? It's just there. I don't see the problem, right? It's interesting, right? It's like these gender roles thing. I'm just like, actually, I think society functions better if you have set roles, because then everyone knows what they need to do, and they have responsibilities that they need to take care of, instead of this, like, how do you call it? This, like, androgynous blob of mass we have become, where, like, nobody has anything to do, that, like, anything that they need to do, responsibilities that they have to take care of. It's just like, what are we doing? It just does, what we can tell, it doesn't work, right? Ever since this, like, has started, we have problems in, like, relationships between men and women. We have problems with men and women taking accountability and responsibility. I feel like bringing more, having more set gender roles might actually be more helpful than bad, because at least we have a system that functions that we now don't have. That's just me. Also, this lady could just read a story that features a woman. I know. What? Wow, you are smart. I think we should give you the Nobel Prize at this point, because, like, wow. Yeah, she could literally just read stories with well written, good female characters. But she won't do that. I wonder why. Is it maybe because a lot of female characters aren't written well? Not because they're women, but because the people that write them don't know how to write. That's just me. Society. Read this in the Joker voice for Max. Read this in the Joker voice for Max Effect. Yes. Wonderful, I know.
No self-awareness to realize how bad that is. She thinks she's like this extremely moral person for doing this. And you gotta love when people like her also talk about how they're deconstructing gender roles when they're really not. These people are the biggest perpetuators of gender norms out there. And if you're familiar with anime and gaming localization discourse and how corrupt that industry is, it's kind of interesting how similar her rhetoric is to the stuff we've seen from these corrupt EN localizers too. Although not surprising in the least, but I'll leave it there for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what
But yeah, that's pretty much that's pretty much the end of the video. Yeah, it is very interesting. Again, I don't think the gender swap is that big of a deal if they pull it off well, right? Like they did with this other character. Um, if they can, of course, then you're cooked, because that just goes to prove that gender swaps don't work. Another one into the category, into the bin. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Very interesting, though. Very interesting.